Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. This is qTalkie. My name's Q. A big vote of thanks from me to you. And today we're going to talk about, you like that rhyme, right? Today we're going to talk about how retro is retro. And I know that sounds like kind of a weird question, but really, how retro is retro? A lot of people talk about retro gaming. It's a really big thing right now. It's a bubble. Pretty soon it's going to burst, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm talking about how retro is retro. How far do you have to go back to consider yourself retro gaming at that moment? Because, at least in my perception, retro gaming was fifth generation consoles during the seventh generation of video games. So basically around the era that the 360 and the PS3 were out. Anything that was on like the Sony PlayStation, the original, the Nintendo 64, the Sega Genesis, or no, not the Sega Genesis, the Sega Dreamcast. Oh my god, I can't believe I made a faux pas. Please forgive me. But yeah, stuff that was on those consoles themselves, I considered retro at that period of time. And that got me thinking, with the 8th generation of consoles in full swing, and with new iterations of both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One coming out, with the PS4 Pro already being out and Project Scorpio to be announced, and with the Nintendo Switch coming out, what does that mean for retro gaming? Like, how retro is retro? Because you could use a time scale. You could say that anything over 10 years could be considered retro, in which case you can include games like Spider-Man 2 for the PS2 and Nintendo GameCube. Or you could say anything from the 32-bit era, which would also include games like Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or Final Fantasy VII. Those kind of games. Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. You can consider those games retro, especially Castlevania, because that one has the pixel graphics, the pixel art graphics. So that's a question that was just running through my mind, like, how retro is retro? And I came to a conclusion. Whatever conclusion you come to is your own, but here's my personal opinion. I feel like you can officially consider video games retro when it's 2 console generations removed from what you're currently at right now. And I'm talking console generations, because PC never gets outdated. And that's just a fact. And I'm not trying to start a firestorm or some kind of war in the comment section, but we all know that PCs, they don't ever get outdated, because you can just swap out components and it's like you've completely refreshed your system. But anything that's 2 console generations removed from right now, I feel like could be considered retro. So right now we're on the PS4, the Xbox One, maybe anything from the original PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. Or yeah, the original Xbox and the PS2 could be considered retro. That would include games like the aforementioned Spider-Man 2, the original Splinter Cell, Beautiful Joe, BMX Triple X, which is a game I tell you, I played that game way too young. Games like that, maybe those are retro. The original Halo Combat Evolved, maybe that could be considered a retro game at this point. I mean, it has been 16 years since that game was released, right? It's 2017, so that came out in 2001. Carry the one. Yeah, 16 years. What do you think? How many generations removed does it have to be retro? Or, if you're thinking in terms of numbers of years, how many years would you consider to be retro? How much time has to have passed before you start considering some video games of the past to be retro games, quote unquote? I would love to hear what you think in the comment section down below, as well as input on this on this video. Also, leave a like if you could, because I am trying to grow and I'm trying to just do my whole thing. I'm still relatively new to this thing, so that feedback is really important to me at this stage. And if you want to hit that dislike button, I would like to ask you to reconsider, but I know you won't reconsider, so go ahead and click that dislike button. But just know, I will know. With that being said, I'm Q. This has been qTalkie. Thank you for tuning in, and have a wonderful day.